Hello, here I am again. We continue with our lessons. So today we are going to talk about passive voice again. So what happens here? I know that you already know everything about passive voice, but just to remind you, we use passive when we don't want to mention someone who does the action. We don't want to mention the subject one. We don't want to, or we consider the subject less important. The basic thing here that the action and the object of that action are the two most important things when we talk about passive voice. So you always know that whatever we do, we have to focus on, whenever I'm talking about formation of passive voice, so we have to focus on verb to be and the tenses in different forms of this verb to be, which is the crucial one for formation passive voice. Here we have also a past participle, which is going to be the same in all different tenses. So this is what I've told you right now. These are things that you already know. Shakespeare wrote Hamlet. Hamlet was written by Shakespeare. People speak English all over the world. English is spoken all over the world. So today we aren't going to talk about those passives which are familiar to you, but we are talking a little bit more advanced passive forms. So here they are on page 98 in your books. So first of all, I would like you to look here. Here it is, the text and the highlighted blue expressions. So first of all, the text is very interesting because it talks about banning the use of modern technology in one family for 6 years. So their mother was pretty strict and she banned them using internet and telephones for six months, and then we will see what has happened to them. You are going to read that text at home alone, but we are more interested here on those could be heard, should have been switched, had been made to turn, was given, and similar things. So I'm talking here about those passive advanced structures. So what do we have, or what can we see here? Could, should. Okay, then what else do we have here? Okay, so first of all, could and should, modal verbs. What happens when we have modal verbs? Then we have the famous made, then hated being and needs to be. Remember the lesson about gerunds and about infinitives. Think about those verbs that always, for example, require to use gerunds or to use those infinitives with to or without to. So the lesson is about that one. But following the examples and following, as you can see here, the rules, nothing is too difficult for us. So, advanced passive forms. With present or past modal verb structures, no electronic noises could be heard, even when they should have been. So what's going on here? You have to pay attention, and we talk about, okay, something that is happening right now is going to be modal plus be. If we talk about something in the past, it's going to be should have been. Okay, so passive forms with verbs that take two objects. You know, she bought me a nice present. So we have two objects. Me, indirect object, a nice present, direct object. Her son, what did the person is the topic more common, so was given a saxophone, for example. A saxophone was given to her son. So here we have indirect question or indirect object, and this one here is direct object. Verbs followed by passive infinitives or passive ing forms. This is what I already told you. The youngest daughter hated being or needed to be encouraged. And of course, we have the famous made, you know, for allowance and things, once the children had been made to turn off their technology. So I already told you this is pretty easy. Now we are going to watch our English teacher to help us understand these questions. So here he is.
Welcome to Technology Weekly. Let's start with a couple of stories for our embarrassing technology feature.
Amber, Vicky and Ryan were on holiday in Thailand. They'd hired a car, and at the car hire, they'd been given a GPS and a map. They headed off to visit some secluded beaches. They were being guided by the GPS, and it all seemed to be going well. As they got closer to the coast, they were directed down a narrow path, which took them right onto the beach, where they got stuck in the mud. There was a map in the car that should have been used, but it was too late now. They tried to push the car out of the mud, but the car couldn't be moved. The tide was rising, and in the end, they were forced to abandon the car. As they watched the car being surrounded by seawater, people on a tourist boat could be seen taking photos of the unfortunate incident. The three friends were given a lift back to the car hire. They had to pay a lot of money, but they felt lucky. They might have been stuck in the car when the tide came in. A GPS can be useful, but it needs to be used with care.
Philip was feeling nervous. It wasn't the first time he'd had a job interview, but this time he'd been made to conduct the interview online because he was being interviewed by a panel of interviewers in Hong Kong. Due to the time difference, the interview was arranged for 7 o'clock in the morning. Philip hated being woken up early, so he ignored his alarm clock and overslept. When he finally got up, he only had 5 minutes to get dressed. He'd been told that appearances were important in this company, so he put on a nice shirt and tie. But as he knew he couldn't be seen from the waist down, he kept his pajama bottoms on. The interview started well, and he was halfway through when the postman arrived with a parcel. He saw Philip through the window and knocked on the glass. Philip tried to wake him away, but the postman continued to knock on the window. Philip excused himself and stood up, forgetting that he was being watched by the interviewers, and gave everyone a good view of his pajama bottoms.
That's all for today in Technology Weekly. Watch us next week at 5 p.m.
Hello. In today's lesson, we'll talk about advanced passive forms. Let's start with verbs that take 2 objects. For example, give somebody something. We gave them, the direct object, a GPS, the indirect object. A GPS was given to them. They were given a GPS. As you can see, either a GPS or they can become the subject of the sentence in the passive, depending on what you want to emphasize. Now let's look at the verb forms after modal verbs. It's quite simple. Follow the modal verb with be and the past participle. They couldn't move the car. The car couldn't be moved. But it's a bit more tricky with past modals. You need to use have been and the past participle. They should have used the map. There was a map in the car that should have been used. Here are some more examples. Philip couldn't be seen from the waist down. People on a tourist boat could be seen taking photos. They might have been stuck in the car when the tide came in. Now let's talk about verbs followed by the to infinitive. For example, need. You need to use a GPS with care. What happens if you want to use the passive in this sentence? You use the passive infinitive, that is, to be, plus the past participle. A GPS needs to be used with care. And what about verbs followed by the ing form, such as hate, love, enjoy, be tired of? With these verbs, you use being plus the past participle. Look at the active and passive example. Philip hated waking up early. Philip hated being woken up early. And finally, look at the passive form of the verb make. My mum made me wear the best suit. I was made to wear the best suit. And that's all for today. Thank you.
Not all for today, because we have a bunch of those exercises to do here. So let's go back to our basic page where we have our exercises, of course. As you can see, the first question, listen to me very carefully because I'm going to help you, but I'm going to speak. I don't want to write right now. So rewrite the sentences in the passive starting with the underlined object. So it says, you can buy absolutely anything on the internet these days. Absolutely anything can be bought. Nobody could have predicted the importance of the internet. So we have here the importance of the internet object. What could have been predicted or couldn't have been predicted because of this nobody. Okay, you must protect your computer by using antivirus software. Your computer must be protected. Architects may have designed Bill Gates' house on the Apple computer. So Bill Gates' house may have been designed on an Apple computer. You can control the volume of a YouTube video. So the volume of a YouTube video can be controlled. Double L here. And they should have given Albert Einstein a Nobel Prize for his theory of relativity. So Albert Einstein should have been given a Nobel Prize. So see, it's not difficult at all. And I know that it's going to be easy for you. Okay, underline the indirect object in each sentence. This is what we talked about, two objects in one sentence. So then you form the passive one. So what do we have here? Yesterday people sent me 50 messages. I was sent 50 messages. So me is indirect object. My parents might give me a new laptop. So me again, indirect object. I might be given a new laptop. They have promised us, indirect object. We have been promised new computers for the school. People owe me, indirect object. So I am owed lots of money. Present simple tense. They should offer my father a new job. My father is an indirect object. So my father should be offered a new job. And today a temporary teacher is teaching us. Us, indirect object. So we are being temporarily, or we are being taught IT today by a temporary teacher. So, as again, it's not so hard for you to do it. Now, in this one here, we use the prompts to write sentences using passive infinitive or ing infinitive. So this is again the story about which verbs are followed by gerunds and which verbs are followed by infinitive. So don't enjoy being shouted at. So they can't stand being ignored. Would prefer not to be criticized. Would like to be taken seriously. Get tired of being judged. Just want to be loved. Dislike being told what to do and aren't interested in being compared to other teenagers. So always after these can't stand, would prefer, would like, we think about gerunds or we think about infinitives, and that's the reason why we use different those passive structures. So basically that would be all. Just for the end, you have here grammar focus 138. So it would be great if you do it and send us on our emails. That will be all for today for this class. Thank you all. Stay home and see you soon. Bye bye.